Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Communities Unite. And today's topic is going to be autism and business. It's going to be a really interesting topic to hear from Corban and Connell, and it's Corban's first time on the podcast. So welcome to Corban, and Connell has been on here a few times. I think the last one was when we did the mental health awakening. I think is when Connell
Yeah.
was last on here. Um, and yeah, so it's going to be really interesting and a really important topic. So, Corbin, could you start introducing yourself?
Hello, my name is Corban. I am autistic and I run my own business as a personal trainer.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Especially in the World Cup.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Connell.
Yeah, hi, I'm Connell. If most of you don't know me already, I'm also on the spectrum, and I'm an avid gym goer. I'm a football coach, and it's always been a passion of mine to go into that. So hopefully, long-term plans, I will have a business, something to do with like one-to-one football coaching. That's the ambition in
Yeah,
a couple of years' time.
yeah, it's a good goal to have. Um, I think. So Corbin, because you already have your own business. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, running a business is a lot of fun. Don't forget that it's a lot of fun. Like in my business, we train different people of different techniques and different spectrums. So whether they have disabilities or they don't, it's a lot of fun. But people don't realize that there is always downsides to it, and that's the paperwork. There's a lot of paperwork that you have to do, so it's not as fun. So running a business is a lot of fun work, but also a lot of hard work. Whether with mine, I have to write programs for people like my different clients I have, and they need to be based around their goals and based around if they have like injuries or stuff like that. And then even more boring work is the taxes. You've got to write down your taxes, everything like that. It's a lot of fun, but there's always that little boring bit at the end that you have to do, even if you don't want to.
Yeah. Like, it sounds all fun, but behind closed doors, you have to do all this boring paperwork.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah. When did you start your business, Corbin?
I believe I started being a personal trainer nearly a year ago, actually. I think it's a year in December, actually, I think.
Okay. Yeah, so quite experienced.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've been training people longer than that, without charging them. So I have a lot more experience than most. But yeah, I've been working as a PT for over a year. So it's all been fun and games.
Yeah, and you do a lot of it because, like, I know, but before we start recording, you said that you do a lot in the week, so it's a pretty long week for you. Like when you in work and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. You're constantly working. There's days where I'm there from 6 a.m. in the morning to about 7 p.m. at night. There's so it can range whatever day it is, whether you're training people or if you just doing training yourself, because it's you still need to counter that into the whole situation. You can't just train others and let yourself go somewhat. You need to at least be active as a person, so it allows the clients then to see that you're also putting effort in, and it pushes them to put effort in.
Yeah, I do. I think that does help. Especially because you got to be like like you say, just setting a good example for them.
Yeah, set a good example allows you to get yourself more clients as well. And it also allows people to trust more in you when they see you hitting goals that they want to go to.
Yeah, yeah. I completely agree. Um, so Connell, so is the aim like in a few years' time to have like is it like is it like a football kind of sort of thing there that you're
So
thinking?
So, I've discussed this with you and Corbin in the past about what I wanted to do with in terms of my business model and idea. So the how it would work would be to start off with it'd be I don't know CS one-to-one football coaching for kid initially for kids for from 5 to 12 year olds. Doesn't matter about ability as such. They can have a disability or it yeah, what I'm trying to say, I'm mumbling my words here, but yeah, it'd be something along those lines. What I would like to do in future, because I think there is so many parents and maybe coaches out there that, particularly in grassroots football, can get really competitive, and that could cause a child to then fall out of love with the game that they so desperately love playing. And I find it's a lot more common nowadays for children to stop playing football because perhaps a coach was too competitive, or they're putting them down, or parents are in basically installing oh, win at all cost mentality, which, yeah, it's okay, winning is absolutely brilliant, but it should be about the fun and enjoyment. And I think what I'd do with the one-to-one like football coaching would be, it would be about not only them improving as, obviously football players, but them improving as people as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, because like we've coached to, like, we've done things in the past, and we've notified that, like, it is very important when the coach is like really is understanding, because like it's very hard to get involved when you're at a young age, isn't it? Because I think you may feel a bit shy and stuff like that. But if you have your own, like, sort of thing going, it does kind of, like, you kind of get to decide what happens.
I think as well, it is about making a difference to not only the people you work with, but also the rapport you build with them. I know in Corbin's case, when he builds a rapport with his clients and they go on to do well, I can imagine that gives him a sense of achievement. And for me, because I'm coaching at the moment on a weekend with a local team, it gives me a sense of like pride when I you know, see the kids having fun, smiling, enjoying themselves, because ultimately that's what it should be about. That should be the motto across all of, not only just football, but sports in general. It should be about having fun and enjoying yourself and trying new things, and and ensuring that they can build their confidence from that.
Yeah, yeah, I think it all leads up to, like confidence, I think, and like when doing coaching before, it is rewarding. Like, so say you're training a player, and you've told them to focus on maybe like maybe they're shooting in a game, and they scored a goal, and then and I think you're going to be really rewarding. Like, you're going to feel really good about yourself, saying like that like helping them, like with advice, and they scored their goal, and then they're going to be as happy as you, because they've accomplished that kind of goal.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's very, even for me in personal training, it's fulfilling to know that I've helped someone um like advance themselves, whether that be technique wise, lifting wise, weight wise. I think especially in coaching as well, it we all have that slight feeling that we're maybe not fully correct with our information that we say,
Yeah.
just because we slightly doubt what we're trying to say. So whether I say, okay, do this, it may work, it may help you with this, and then it does, it somewhat takes that pressure off your back to go, okay, I know what I'm doing now. I know I'm happy with what I'm doing. This can work on loads of people, whether it be football, swimming, any sport you feel confident in showing someone how to do it, showing that, even giving someone a new technical skill to teach them in football allows you then to feel more confident in other sports whether you're doing basketball. Well, you were able to teach someone something, maybe you'll be able to teach them in another sport, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree, because sports coaches in particular and PTs, I think we don't get a lot of compliments or thanks from necessarily from other people, because I saw this video on TikTok, and it was, I think someone's just thanking a grassroots coach, and the guy said, and what's really stood out to me was the guy said, I don't remember the last time I got, thanked for just simply like doing my job. And obviously you're not there to, constantly get, praise and approval and stuff like that. But sometimes that can go a long way, because I'm terrible at taking compliments. It's, part of who I am. I'm very good at complimenting other people, but when it comes to myself, I very much self-doubt, and sometimes what I put across or what I say, like you said, Corban, earlier, like, oh, this may work if you do this. But sometimes even then it's that little doubt, that little doubt on your mind, or that, little person on your shoulder that's, that's saying to you, oh, should you really be saying this? Are you putting it across? You're putting it across wrong. And that's probably one of the worst things as well, especially when you're, in your case, Corbin, going into, you might be going into the gym and you're training someone, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm doubting myself. I'm questioning whether I can, do what I'm capable of doing.
Yeah, I think in those situations, you're always unsure whether something is correct, because especially in my industry, if I injure someone, that could be the end of my career. That could be the reason why I no longer work in the industry. I may have said to someone, okay, do this squat variation, and they do that squat variation. But if I don't fully trust that variation and I haven't tested it myself, I could cause them to have an injury. Like today, I had a girl with an ACL tore, which is completely torn. She had reconstruction, and now 10 years ago, and is now having to have surgery again. But because I'm very knowledgeable on stuff like injuries, I can understand, okay, these are exercises you can do, these are exercises you can't do. But if I was unsure about any of those two, I could injure someone and permanently hurt them for a long, long while if I don't reassure myself with the knowledge that I know.
Yeah, I find as well that when I'm, for example, I could be doing a session on, a weekend with my under-8s, and I could be like, okay, we're gonna do bulldog, which is basically, I'm sure a lot of you will be familiar with. You basically get the ball, you try and get past the defender. If you get tackled by a defender, they then become a defender, that sort of thing. It's fun, it gets them warmed up, especially in winter, as we're recording this. It's winter, it's cold, and they need to, be warmed up and run about. But I do find as well, language is important, regardless of what industry you're in, whether it's coaching or PT and wherever. I think the language, and I guess the knowledge side of it is so important, because for me, in my case, I could say one thing, and perhaps it would upset a kid, and then I'd get a complaint, and that would look bad on me, and I never want that to happen. I would never ever want to be a reason that a kid literally just stops playing football and falls out of love with it. It, like I say, I'm repeating this quite a lot, but it's always should be about the enjoyment of it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like it's interesting, because I guess when you do stuff like that, you look back on your kind of like when, like, maybe in P at school, like how teachers were on you, and I think you may question yourself, were they doing that correctly, or like, or sometimes they've been lazy, or like which they were. Like, so some teachers would just say, like do like a half dozen laps around the field or something, or do stretches for about 15-20 minutes. What took about half the lesson, and then you kind of think like I can do that a bit better, like especially like you guys saying how you're coming across, like how you're talking, like being happy and and to make sure maybe your personal life isn't affecting your your job, like being a personal trainer or coaching with you, Connell. Because I think that's very important because like to keep those things aside, although some things can be really tough, but. But yeah, it's just like rewinding those things and thinking like, what can I do better?
One of the key things for me is when I go into a session instantly, it's like, be it they're on the ball, you know, they're having as many touches of the ball as they can, and you know, and that's the main thing. I don't know. I kind of disagree with the whole when PE teachers back in school, they'd be like, "Oh, run a dozen laps of the field," or which okay, to an extent, yeah. If it's like winter time, in a way, it can get you warmed up and it can make you feel good. But when you spend, I think when you spend like 15 minutes doing that, that just wastes a lot of time. It wastes too much time, and you don't actually get to do the main part of what you're actually doing. So, you know, for me, I'd say maximum if you're doing a 1 hour like coaching session, like 5-10 minute warm up is always good. You know, it doesn't need to be that long. You know, I'm not trying to preach or give advice. Everyone works differently, but that's just how I'd do it personally.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, me too.
It's better to do a short warm up than spending 15 minutes doing a warm up, because then it just becomes a cardiovascular endurance exercise than doing an actual warm up. Like what I do for my classes, if we are on the classroom area, then it's mostly star jumps and high knees, and then we go into exercises which you use your whole body to warm up with. So whether that is kettlebell swings, um, squats, stuff like that, any variation of an exercise I can get people to use a lot of muscles in, I use to just keep them nice and warm. Then we maybe up the conditioning work, and then we slowly drip off at the end. Instead of just going, okay, I'm going to run 20 odd laps around the field.
Yes.
Like you said, it takes up so much time, especially in PE. Like by the time that you've exited the PE room, by the time you got changed, by the time you got the equipment, by the time you've done the running, you basically got like 30 minutes left. It's like, what's the point? What's the point doing a PE lesson if it's going to be an hour and you're just mostly spending time running around the actual the grass and stuff? Because I
Yeah,
can remember that actually happening as a child. They would get us running around for hours for no reason.
yeah. I remember it like in school where the time would be wasted even before it's begun. Like people don't like because the amount of people there are doing it. Like that, like it's from 10-15 minutes getting changed. It normally takes, and then you wait for the teacher to wait for everyone's getting changed. That's another probably 5-6 minutes, and then what normally happens if one person is being bad in the class, the teachers sometimes would make everyone suffer the consequence by like it could possibly be a run around the field or not doing anything, which waste of time, and then getting changed at the end. That's another 10 minutes um for everyone to get changed. So yeah, a lot of it is wasted time when it could be really simple.
Yeah, definitely can be.
I find as well that, you know, with some obviously kids can misbehave sometimes, and you know that's just, you know, part of being a kid, right? We've all misbehaved in lesson, and you know, PE lesson in particular. I definitely know I used to do that, but I find as well how to deal with like misbehavior is highlighting the ones who are actually listening. Be like, I don't know, I'd be like, I don't know, James, you're listening brilliantly, you get a ball. And if you focus on the people that are actually listening, rather than the people who are, messing about, then that gives them an indication that actually, oh no, they're getting attention because they're, actually listening and, being good. So yeah, so sometimes a lot of time can be wasted just, shouting, just trying to single out bad behavior and making everyone else face the consequences of it, which I find unfair in a way, because why should everyone else have to suffer the consequences for one person's misbehavior?
Definitely.
Yeah, agreed.
And it's not just PE, like it's anything really, isn't it? Like it could be English, like a person is behaving, which sometimes has reasons to it, and not all the time it's due to them just being a bad kid. There are some reasons to it, but like you say, it just wastes time. Like just focusing on that bad person. It's like especially in PE, that's the one that really was annoying. And I felt like I did feel like saying sometimes, can't we just get on with the lesson? And what they would normally do is, if they would get the bad person who's being disruptive to be involved more to try and help their behaviour, which it doesn't help them. It makes them worse, where they feel like, oh look, I'm in control here now, and that kind of thing. I think.
Yeah, I find that in even in business, that you can have the people that listen. They're the fantastic clients. They're the ones that listen and they do exactly what you want them to do. And then, of course, you have the clients that don't listen at all. And they're the ones that take up most of your attention when you're trying to focus on the clients that are doing fantastic. Sadly, you are taken away by clients who, for some reason, they pay you and then they expect you to do all the work. Like they expect me to eat the food that I've been telling them to eat, do the certain calorie exercises that I've told them to do, all this stuff when actually it's not going to benefit me. It's going to benefit them. But I think that's what people don't realize, especially in business. People don't understand that doing work needs to benefit you first, then you can benefit others. If it doesn't benefit you, um, then most people won't actually do it.
Yeah.
I think I find as well, when, like you say, you're working within, a particular industry, and when you're trying to sort of get your word out there to other people, and there could be a lot of people that can mock your idea and, take the mick out of it, and, try to almost put you down. I find as well that when you could, as like it as a when you have a neurodiverse brain like ours, you can have all these ideas, but it's executing them. The execution of the ideas and how they present, sometimes that can come across as, rash and indecisive, um it just it really, it can put you down when, you want to progress in life, and then people laugh at you and say, oh, you won't do that. And do you know what? It just makes me so much more determined to prove them wrong, because nothing's better than getting to where you want to be, and and basically when you do, you feel like you're at the top of the mountain.
Yeah, yeah. I completely agree, because like people can be so like down on you, like they just think that you can't do a certain thing, and like, because like it's like that, it's like that, like with autism, people say that you can't do it because you've got autism, and it's not the case. Like, look, like Corbyn's got his own business, and
Basically, yeah.
yeah, and so like there are things we can do. Like it may take, everyone's different, so it's going to take, it may take a while to set everything up, because I imagine there's lots of processes before actually starting one for you, Corbin. But before actually like like starting like your business, but it's exciting because I guess it's your hobby as well. Like you go into work every day, like loving what you do.
Yeah, I think with me, because of my autism, I was lucky. I had started my business first before I was diagnosed with autism. So I didn't know. I was never swiped with any slates or anything like that. So I was able to get in, realize, okay, this is my hobby. I train anyway. This is fun. I have that experience where I know what I'm talking about. It felt comfortable. And then when I got my autism diagnosis, it was like, oh, okay, this is why I've been doing this. This is why I don't look at my clients in the eyes. This is why I do certain things. Um, a lot of people, they brush autistic people with, like you're saying, with a brush by saying, oh, you can't do this because you're autistic. You can't do that because you're autistic. When actually, a lot of people are right now, most of the people that are extremely rich or well known in the world are autistic. I have, like you said, I have my own business. I'm autistic. It's doing well, so it's you can't like there's a lot of processes that you have to go through to start a business, and most people would say that an autistic person couldn't do any of the processes that I had to jump through. I had to get my qualification. I had to film videos. I had to train people. I had to use all the knowledge that I learn and that I'm still learning just to build a business. I've had to do my own marketing. I've had to look into all realms of different types of business types just to be able to do it. And most people don't believe that autistic people can do that, but we're here proving them that we can, and we're finding it easy.
Yeah, it's really good that you're doing that. When was you diagnosed with autism then, Corbin?
I believe it was what year we're in 2022, so that would be
Yeah.
I think late 2021. So I'm prob I've been autistic. Well, not I've been autistic for 22 years of my life, but I've been diagnosed a year. I think it is. I think it's a year this month, guys. So
Okay.
Amazing.
year anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good time we're doing this then, isn't it?
Yeah, ironically.
Going back to the topic, just real quick, like, when you say, because Corbin, you touched upon this, I relate to as well, like looking people in the eye. I find eye contact extremely hard. It's, sometimes just looking at people can make my eyes burn and feel like they're on fire. So, for example, a child might come up to me that they're upset about something, and obviously, I go down to their level, but I find it really hard to like look them directly in the eye because if I do it for a certain amount of time, my eyes are going to feel like they're on fire. Which sounds like I'm being dismissive of the concern, but I'm not. I find that when I'm looking away, I am actually listening.
Mm.
So in school, I sort of look away from the teacher, and they would see that as me not listening when actually I was, and I think that's very common for a lot of autistic people as well. That actually, they've instead of the just standard sit at a desk, do worksheets all day. I wasn't really that guy. I hated doing that. School wasn't really man-made for me in that sense. I excelled at PE and drama and those other subjects. But the going back to the club I do currently coach at, I don't think any of them even know I have an autism diagnosis. So if you listen to this, now you know.
Yeah. You you found out something new.
Exactly that. Learn something new every day, and that's what makes life so wonderful. You're learning something new almost every day.
Yeah, you do. And like yeah, we're always learning things, and like I'm the same. Like I like more now. I probably look like if I know someone really well, I'll probably show more eye contact than I do than someone who I don't know that well, probably. But I still struggle. Like like today as we're talking, I won't always look at you in the eyes. Like occasionally I might look over there or over there, like, but you're still talking. It's really annoying that it's still happening though, where like in schools and just like situations where if you're not looking at someone when they're talking, they think they're ignoring you or don't really care what you're saying to you, which is it's really upsetting for like autistic people, because people do like find it really hard just to look at a person in the eyes, because it's really it's really scary sometimes because you don't want to do that.
Yeah, I find that sometimes as well. Like looking someone in the eyes as an autistic person is very difficult in business as well, when you're having to shake someone's hand, or if you're trying to get your point across on a conversation with a client. It's very hard. So what I normally do for myself, when I have new clients or I meet new people, I explain that I'm autistic and that I may not look them in the eye, but do know that I have listened to what you're trying to express, and I'm able to look someone in the eye if I choose to. But like I'm the same. I hate it. It just makes me uncomfortable. So I'll have like conversations where I'll be standing side on and we'll be talking to someone, or I will sit and face them, but I would be looking past them. The only way I can actually have a full-blown conversation with them.
Yeah, I'm the same. If I'm talking to like a parent, for example, what I do, what I find really helpful is sort of standing side on, looking like past them, sort of thing, because then it actually looks like I'm making eye contact. Yeah, that's it's great. It's great being neurodiverse.
Yeah,
Definitely.
great bit different.
Mm.
Yeah, like last few years, and another thing I don't really like, in a similar situation to the eye contact, but like Corbin, you mentioned about the shaking people's hands. Like these last few years, like because like COVID and like you guys know about like me being vulnerable and stuff. Like I would say to people, I don't want to shake your hand, but being like kind. One, I don't really want to touch your hand, and I've not always been one for like shaking hands, and
Mm.
it was almost like the similar situation. People will look at me like why like you're not being very nice, and so similar to the eye contact situation in a sense, which is it's really annoying when people make you feel bad for something that you just don't like or are comfortable with.
Yeah, I fully understand that, because like I don't like people touching me, or if they grab me, or even if they like I have to be the one to give my hand out first for me to feel comfortable with shaking someone's hand. I don't like it when someone else offers it, unless they've someone that I like and that I've had a good, very interesting conversation with. Then of course I'll shake their hand or I'll fist bump them, whatever is valid in the situation. I can agree, like they give you the most evilest looks, and it's like, why? Like, and you just instantly, I think for someone like us with autism, you feel like you're judged, whether that is in personal training or any type of business type area, or even normal day life. You just feel like you're being judged if you don't do something which is seen as the normality, when people need to realize we're not the normality, we're
Yeah,
something different. Our brains work differently. We don't like different certain things. But I can understand like some people who like I was telling someone about autism and they knew about the condition, but they didn't know the actual personal side of it. They knew the curriculum, of course, of autism, but they didn't know the personal side. So they didn't understand why uh, grabbing my arm, why I didn't like that. So stuff like that. You never know who you're gonna have conversations with.
I find as well with like hugging. I'm someone that I'm not really a hugger unless I initiate it, or I don't mind if someone else initiates it unless I know them really well. Uh, but if it's like someone I don't really know well and they're offering it out, I'm just gonna be like, what the hell? Why are you
Yeah.
doing that?
yeah, yeah, and then when you say no, they kind of like they're not very friendly afterwards. They're like, oh, why couldn't you do that?
Yeah, and you're perceived as rude, arrogant, and every name under the sun. And they can just be really standoffish with you after and give you the cold treatment.
Yeah,
Agreed. It's terrible when they do that.
yeah, because like you're comfortable with the things that you want to do. Like not everyone is going to be a hugger. I'm not either really. Like people are like you, Connell. I'll do it to people I probably know. Like I'm not going to do it to like a stranger, like or maybe a new friend that I don't really know that well because it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, the like I also like with like with autistic people getting a job that's really hard and sometimes it's when they go for that interview, it's a little thing that don't even need to be qualified for the job, like maybe shaking your hands at the end or eye contact. If you don't do them, they say you can't have the job now because you can't do eye contact and you need to have eye contact in a workplace for you to communicate, which you don't. Like we can look to the floor and still communicate. It doesn't. I don't get why people think that.
I find with interviews as well. What's helped me in the past. I don't know if it help other people with the eye contact thing in interviews. I think what helped me was the sort of, I don't know, if they're like in a smart suit, like looking at their tie or just simply looking past them, or maybe looking at something that's on the table, because then it kind of does look like you listen. It looks like you're actually listening. So yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I think it's hard for people like us to find jobs or even start businesses. In your case, Corbin, in that situation, because people won't give us the time of day, and there is a talent pool that's waiting to be unearthed, and I don't think society as a whole, they're not doing enough to unearth that.
Agreed. The talent pool for autism is so unused because people just believe that autistic people can't do this, and it's so evolved in our nature to believe that someone of a disability can't do what they choose to do. So I think we put too much weight on people than we should. Like I've been told in the past, I can't do this because I've got autism, or I've seen autistic people get told they can't do this. I've even seen my mum get told she can't drive. She's been driving for like 6, 7 years now, but people are like, "Oh, you can't do this because of a disability." When actually, as ironically as people say, a disability is just a different ability. That's all it is. For some, it could be a condition that they're born with. Maybe it's a loss of a limb, and that's something that they will have their own challenges, but it doesn't put them out of not being able to work. And if they choose to, if they're able to have that ability, you have some of the best chefs around with autism. You have some of the best writers with dyslexia. You have one of the best directors, and he has dyslexia, Guy Ritchie, and you even have one of the most well-known scientists, Elon Musk. He has autism. He's come out, and even one of the even more greatest movie directors, Quentin Tarantino, is believed to have autism as well. So I think people need to realize that the talent pool for someone with a disability is as advanced as someone without a disability.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. And with I always remember in school and like because you have autism, like a teacher or even an assistant teacher will just talk to like you're a baby and you don't understand. I was like,
Gosh, don't get me
Mm.
started. I absolutely used to hate the condescending, patronizing tone they talk to you in. In my case, if I was discussing like my goals and aspirations, they'd be like, "Oh, that's really lovely," and that really like annoying, condescending, patronizing tone that would really annoy me, and I'd just be like, "Oh, that's." I'm trying not to swear here, but that's what really annoyed me.
yeah, it's very annoying because like like if they even help me with something, they'll say count with me like 1, 2.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to count with you. I want to count my own.
Mhm.
It's really annoying. It's like when that kind of stuff happens. And like with what we were saying earlier about like the tone and like how you're like coming across. Like so if you're coming across in a nice tone, um, where like there might be instances where you might have to explain things more, but not you don't need to talk like a baby. Like we experience because um one is a very whiny voice, isn't it? Which is really annoying and it gets in your head.
You know that like to the sort of like sympathy to the head side tilt they do as well when they're doing it. That's like that.
Yeah.
Like oh yeah,
Yeah. You're
yeah,
gonna do so well.
yeah. You're doing so well, James. Well done. That sort of thing. I would just be like, you don't really need to talk to me in that tone of voice. Just talk to me normally. You don't need to talk to me in that tone of voice. And I think that is the reason that most people with autism and or learning disability or any other disability for that matter struggle to find employment. And a statistic I found out the other day that there's only 16.9% of autistic people that are actually in paid employment, and that is a damning statistic. That is something that's got to change, and that's not only got to come from jobs being more inclusive, but also schools doing more to help autistic individuals realize their dreams and aspirations rather than putting them down and putting them in a certain pedestal because they're like, oh, they've got a disability. That'd be unrealistic for them to own a business or go into like the industry of sport or any other industry for that matter. And I did find that when I was at school a little bit, or when I was coaching within a sports coaching organization, that I couldn't progress the way that I wanted to, and that really annoyed me. And I did feel like that was because of my disability, and that frustrated me because, not to big myself up here, I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can do. Let me showcase that. Give me that opportunity to showcase that. Let me show you how well I can do.
Yeah, I agree with that. A lot of people are very like that statistic of yours is something that I've noticed as well. Most autistic people, the instant thing that people say to them is not, "Oh, we'll get you a paid job." It's like, "Why don't you do volunteering?
Oh
Maybe you'll
yeah.
get used to that." It's like, well, actually, get them used to the real thing. Put them in a real job. They then learn to adapt. They're very good at adapting. I also find in my business, which was my one concern, was that I would be treated slightly differently because of my autism and the way people speak to me, which I have had some people talk to me slightly differently. And then when I've actually verbally spoken back and explained something faster and more intelligently than they can first perceive, they're like, oh, actually, he does. Yeah. Then they speak normal to you. So it's one of those ones where I find autistic people get spoken down to, and most autistic people, the only job they ever have in their life is volunteering work because people are like, oh, you can't do a real job. You can only volunteer because you've got a disability.
I find as well that if they will put them in a particular industry that they don't really want to go into, and they just shoehorn them into it and expect them to like it. Like for example, I found that most people who left the school I went to, they were shoehorned into like horticulture or working on a farm, and I know for some of them that that is something they don't really want to do, and they're like, oh yeah, volunteering is, yeah, volunteering is great. I'm kind of not against volunteering as such, but however, if the volunteering doesn't then lead to a paid job, then what is the point of voluntary positions if it doesn't then lead you into paid work after?
Yeah, I agree.
And there's so many hours as well, because like if it's some sort of course where you're like doing the work experience and stuff, like they do so many hours which you could do for a paid job, and I think that's ridiculous, because like if you have experience before with doing it, it might be a different thing, but like it like you want to be rewarded for your time, um because like although you might really like it, but you still just want to, like it's really time consuming to be doing something that you're getting nothing out of it really, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. A lot of the work that people get done is so like people forget that autistic people need money to live. I think that's what they forget. And if you're volunteering someone, and that's the only form of income they have, whether they don't receive PIP or anything like that, that is their own like form of income. There's some people who are autistic that choose not to get PIP and would rather work because they feel like they would be brushed with the brush that disabled people are lazy, autistic people are lazy, or we just sit at home, do nothing. When actually we're trying to get these jobs, we're trying to work hard, but all we're getting is volunteering jobs. Like I know people personally who are on volunteering roles who have been given maybe a job that is paid, but it's for a set amount of time. And once that time's up, there's no job at the end of it. It's just, okay, you're going to do this. We're going to pay you a certain amount of money for this amount of time. And then by the time of it, we might give you a job. When AKAs, I mean, you're not getting a job at the end of it. You should probably quit now.
That's the most annoying thing about these types of like voluntary positions in these organizations that offer volunteer work. Yeah, like you say, they might offer them, a certain amount of hours. It might be a temporary contract, and it'd be like, okay, you're going to work 8 hours a week, and you're going to get this amount, and this is how much you're going to earn an hour. And for some, it's it can be not enough to live on. Like you say, autistic people want to earn money too, like everyone else. We want to live like everyone else. We want to be successful like everyone else. We want to be treated the same as everyone else. We don't want to be singled out just because we have a condition. It should not be about that. And that is one of the things as well. I know people who've been in voluntary positions, and then all of a sudden they've just been casted off just like that, and they're left with absolutely nothing. And I know I had an interview recently with a organization. So I had to do like a practical. It was actually a practical interview, so I had to lead a session, that sort of thing. I think I told you guys about this. So I had to lead a practical session, and I didn't get it, obviously. I felt that I led the session quite well, and it was quite structured, but I didn't get anything at the end of that, and they then proceeded to offer me voluntary opportunities, which for me, that's like, no, I don't want a voluntary position. I've done work experience at college. That is more than enough volunteering. Like I am, as I don't know when this episode gets released, I'm 21 years old, and the last thing I really want to be doing right now is, just voluntary work during the week. I already do volunteering at the weekend. Like the football coaching I do, that's not paid. And I do actually enjoy that. But however, if you're just gonna offer someone a certain amount of hours and limited money, and trying to shoehorn them into a position that, or an industry they don't want to be in. I kind of think to myself, what is going wrong? What are we doing? Why are we not, helping them realize their goals and their aspirations? Ask them, ask autistic people in school, okay, what's your goals and aspirations? What's your dream? What would you like to do? And that might change. It does. But you've got to, if we don't let these people realize their dreams and aspirations, then we are doing something terribly wrong.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. Like with the situation with you, I find that a lot with many autistic people. They'll do work or they'll go for a job and suddenly it's like, oh, maybe you should do this volunteering thing. It's like, no, I applied for money. I applied for a living. I applied for a job, not something to do volunteer. And I'm not here to just show up. I'm here to show up and do work. Like, volunteering is fantastic sometimes. It's good. There's benefits, but I'm starting to see that sadly the downsides outweigh the goods.
Yeah, and I agree. And there is some benefits to it. And I do enjoy volunteering on weekends. It's absolutely brilliant. I have a passion for it. But like you say, if it's just volunteering like during the week at I don't know, British Heart Foundation, just mention them for example.
We love you.
Yeah, we love you, British Heart Foundation. But say if you're volunteering there, for example, and you volunteer there like 4 or 5 days a week, and you're not really getting anything from it. You're not really earning your own like pay packet, because there is nothing more satisfying than the first payment that comes in on your first paid job. But that is so satisfying. It brings you so much pleasure and joy, and it is amazing. But however, when it's like if you're volunteering like 3 or 4 days a week doing work experience or whatever, sadly, like you say, the bad outweighs the good.
Yeah, it is as well, and like it's hard to find an understanding place to work as well, like with people's conditions, not just autism, but other things out there as well. But yeah, it's just really hard to find someone, and then when you do it, you don't get enough. You either don't do enough, or you normally get put in this one role where normally in a placement there are multiple things to do. So if you are doing football coaching potentially, you may be put on to do just one thing for the entire time. And I've been told that before, and I know you have as well, Connell, where you kind of think, what's the point of just doing this one thing when we could be helping doing other things as well while we're doing the sessions.
What I love as well about what I do on the weekends is that I'm not just doing one thing. Like, it's setting up goals. It's it's literally having a kickabout with some of the kids who may turn up early before the session starts, and that is a brilliant feeling, because it's for them, it's enjoying themselves. Most like football coaches or sports coaches, for example, they are volunteers. They don't get paid to do this. They don't even have to do this. They could be doing something else their weekends, but no, they decide to turn up every weekend to coach your kids, because without grassroots coaches, we wouldn't have many teams out there. And I think parents should, like, in particular, show not only a bit more leeway to coaches and referees, for example, because there's a lot of like referee abuse, but also on the flip side, there is, like I said earlier in the episode, there are coaches that get ridiculously way too competitive, and that can cause people to literally just leave. But with volunteering like grassroots football, they don't have to do this, but they do it because they're passionate about seeing the kids enjoy themselves, have fun, and improve.
Agreed. Very, very agreed. There's a lot of stuff with coaching, grassroots coaching is the foundations of what can set a person in the right path. If you I can tell, like I can tell with certain people if they've had a grassroots training where they've just forced them to do something and just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. After a while, you slowly hear about these people like, oh yeah, my son used to play football, but ever since he went to high school, he stopped. It was like, no, no, he didn't. It was his one time to get away from football, to come with an excuse to not have to do it because he's been forced to do something he's not liked. Uh, so, like, people need to realize, like you said, that football and grassroots training should be there to help people instead of forcing them to do certain things they don't want to do. And it's to push them in the right direction, not the wrong direction, which a lot of grassroots training has pushed people into. I know from a young age, I was pushed into sports, and I was lucky. I took to a fish to water. I loved sports, but then I see some kids that I used to be great friends with. Like I know one lad, he used to do every sport literally around, and now he does musical theatre, and that was his true. He wanted to do drama, but his family wouldn't allow him to, so he had to do sports instead.
Wow, that's yeah. I think it does go to show that if you try and put them into something that they don't want to do, then they're not gonna necessarily like it, and that can cause a lot of like repressed feelings as they grow up. Because, like you said, Corbin, there could be, oh yeah, he's gone to high school, or all of a sudden you stop playing. That's probably, that's like the one time they get away from that environment. And yeah, the grassroots football environment is great. In many ways, I get on with the parents that I talk to. I built a good rapport, and I built a good rapport with them over the last, sort of 2 months that I've been, volunteering there, and it's been absolutely wonderful. It's been a real like learning curve for me into how to build like good, meaningful relationships, and to ultimately ensure that that their children are having fun and they're enjoying themselves.
Yeah, yeah. It's always nice when you have someone like they like with with coaching. Like it's nice when they are like they look up to you. It is because it's nice, and they go to you, and that's they talk to you maybe about the football, like maybe
Yeah,
what's like maybe for you, Connell, like people you work with and stuff. You might have a little to talk about like the World Cup and how England are doing and stuff like that. But it's nice, like just to have like like confrontations like that.
yeah, and as well, it's really nice to have those conversations, because it's not always about the training, but it's also the relationships you build with them and the bonds you build with them. And as well, I've done an apprenticeship, and as we're recording this, I've more or less finished that now. I just had my endpoint assessment, and it's been great, because I've had transferable skills that I've learned over the last 2 years that I can use in other industries that I perhaps want to go into in future, because it's beneficial, I find, to you know do an apprenticeship in a way, because you basically, okay, there's some apprenticeship providers out there that give you a really crap wage, and they don't really pay you well as you're learning, but the whole earn while you learn scheme is great, because not only are you obviously getting on the job experience, hands-on experience, but you're getting a pay packet as well, and I think that's what makes it so wonderful. And I would take all those skills that I've learned over the last 2 years into the next job that I go into, and I hope the next job I get is very soon, because I've built up a good CV, and my CV is relatively decent enough. I've applied for stuff and they've not really bat an eyelid. Probably, perhaps is it because I'm autistic or whatever. That is a sad reality of today, unfortunately.
Yeah, it really is, and like I do really want to get back into coaching, because I haven't for a while, and but yeah, like you say, it's just really hard to get like these kind of to do these things because of being autistic, where people think that you can't do it, and it's very good for an autistic person to be a coach because it kind of raises that awareness and acceptance for autistic people, that because like growing up knowing that autistic people didn't get that support back then in the early 2000s, and now it's different. Like Corbin got a late diagnosis of autism, which is it's more frequent now. It's more, you can see more people getting diagnosed maybe older or like in their teenage years, where early 2000s there were quite a lot of early diagnosis of being autistic. um and yeah, it's good that it's kind of become more frequent, but we just still need to hopefully like get places to accept people, because it's in like it's every job, like if it's singing, it's coaching, and it gets really annoying because we have to repeat ourselves a lot, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Hopefully, we can do more to increase the conversation around, autism and other disabilities out there, because it's important. And going back to the whole, like, I don't know, whatever industry you go into, whether that's coaching or being a PT, I find as well you are a role model for them, and they look up to you, because I know from sort of my perspective in particular, some of them might not have like I don't know, a father figure or big brother figure, so yeah, they naturally they will look up to you to, and they'll dote on like sort of every word you say. So it's, yeah, it can be a wonderful feeling, but ultimately, yeah, autism has become a lot more prominent over the last over probably the last 5 years. I would say it's become a lot more talked about. It's become a lot more normalized. It's become a lot more, like I said, prominent, and yeah. But can the conversation still improve? Absolutely.
Agreed. It definitely can improve. I think a lot of people, they're now becoming more willing to listen, which is good.
100%.
More than they used to. So you see a lot of more autistic people going into businesses and different type of jobs, which is great. I just think that more can be done. Obviously, there's always more to be done in every situation. It just takes time to actually get the conversation moving into a deeper thought of movement.
Yeah, 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 it's just I guess just we got to keep talking about it, and I totally agree with what you're saying there, kind of about role being a model, because it is really important, um, and yeah, like I did like you was one, especially in school, like I could tell that, like from even from my experience, like because I think you always, like if people are like a year above you, like you always go to them type of people.
Yeah, I think as well, when you're I guess you're in school and you're, I don't know, year 10 or year 11 or whatever, naturally people like the younger years are gonna, look up to you, and I don't know, go to you for advice or whatever, or go to you if they have a problem, and and if you like that person, you go and sort them out. But yeah, I think it is, no, it's important. And going back to the business model that I do want to eventually do, it's I would rather, I'd rather it be focused on, enjoying yourself, having fun, and regardless of your ability, come along and play football, because ultimately everyone should develop a love and passion for the sport. You know, if I was to do this for kids 5 to 12, you know, and anyone with any ability can,
Yeah.
can do one-to-one coaching. But like I say, it's a plan. It's going to be a lot of thinking, a lot of long-term planning, a lot of discussions, and hopefully in years to come that will come into fruition, and hopefully people will see the model come into reality.
Yeah, it sounds
Yeah,
really
definitely.
fun. It does sound good because you can have like a whole team of people, like staff even, and then like yeah, it sounds really a good prospect of an idea there. It does.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So guys, before we go, I'm finished. I'm just gonna ask if you have any final things you want to say, or any more advice that you want to say. Connell, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So any advice to any autistic people or divergent people out there, or neurodiverse, if that's even the correct term I'm using, you know, but please follow your dreams. It can be as high or as low as they can be. You know, please do follow your goals and your aspirations and believe in yourself, and don't let anyone tell you any less. And particularly if you're in school or college or work, you've got business ideas or ambitions, please, follow your dreams. Don't let anyone be patronizing or condescending towards you. Follow that dream. Reach for the stars. As cringe as that sounds, that's the advice I'm gonna give.
Yeah, now that sounds stuck in my head now. Well, I completely agree there. Reach for the stars. Really good advice there, Connell. Corban, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I agree with Connell. I think don't allow, just because you have been diagnosed with autism, to stop you from enjoying life. I think we allow people to put these labels on us and we feel like it's a death sentence, when actually just means that you're going to live a more unique life than anyone around you. So I think take it by the horns and just enjoy the best of your ability and work hard. Try and start your own business, even if it's simple as a lemonade stand, or if it's washing cars for a living. Like, do something that will make you feel happy. Don't listen to what other people say. Don't allow them to put any labels and blocks in your way of developing as a person, to be honest.
If you do start your own business, do reach out to us, because we'd love to know how you're doing and the amazing success that you've had.
Yeah, I completely agree with both of you, because I like exactly what what we're saying. Just reach out if you do start a business, because it's really interesting. It's really interesting what you do, because loads of, or even create something new. Like, you can create something new. It's really nice when people create something new. But to anyone watching or sort of seeing this episode today, we've hoped you've enjoyed it. It's been great having Corban on the podcast for the first time, and Connell again. I've lost count how many times Connell's been on here. I think about three. I think three.
Yeah.
I think three. But yeah, as this is going out to everyone, this is December, so I hope everyone here has a good Christmas and a happy New Year as well. Yeah, and thank you, Corban and Connell, again.
That's all right.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a pleasure.
Welcome. Pleasure.